What's going on, everybody? Welcome into TNT Postgame. I am your host, Chris, aka Blue Enforcer. And, well, I'm actually glad I'm doing this show tonight instead of last night. Because I think last night would have been bad. Because I think I would have probably blew a gasket and would have went off. And I still might. Because what a horrible performance it was. I mean, the truth of the matter is, this game, man, went nothing the way we planned, and we're going to talk about it. So get ready. Titan TNT post game starts now.
Good evening, Titan Nation. How is everybody?
What's going on, everybody? This is your man Chris, aka Blue Enforcer. Welcome in to TNT post game. And we are going to be talking about the Tennessee Titans' absolutely abysmal disaster of a loss as they were destroyed, basically. 38-13 at the hands of the Arizona Cardinals. And I mean, again, I tell anybody, if you're looking for me to say something nice at all about this game, this ain't gonna be the show for you, because I'm just gonna tell it like it is. And the Titans lost in all four phases, and looked horrible doing it. Listen, we got some comments. Ken says, "What's up? Can't believe the players and coaches didn't have the team ready to play. Very disappointing." Facebook, what's going on? How you doing? Titan Rossi, looks like they just landed back home. Yeah, I got back home earlier, about 3 o'clock myself. Everything. Will Henry, what's up? What's up? What's going on? Welcome in, everybody. And I'm also going to be on the day after with Ken Moore in about an hour and a half. I will be back on with him to talk about this debacle that we suffered. So we're definitely going to talk about that. Let's see. C-Dub says, this game really hurt. I've been a long-time Titan fan. Never thought we would collapse like that. Opening week at home with the amount of talent on this team. Biggest down in this game was LaJuan and the OC. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Tyrod said, definitely ain't nothing nice to say about this. Philip says, ready to I don't know if you're saying explore or explode, but I can understand. And we're going to talk about that because, again, the Tennessee Titans got trashed in every which way possible. And so, let's start off with those four phases. Number one, the defense. And there were times the defense definitely tried. And I think a lot of it had to do with the offense put the defense in some bad positions. So, there were of course moments where, the defense definitely did some things. And I mean, I will give Kyler Murray a lot of the credit because Kyler Murray made that tight defense look bad. Give me a second, y'all. All right, sorry about that. Had to grab my little stack computer and everything because, I mean, the defense The defense did kind of some of the things we expected. I mean, they, had some issues getting to Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, was doing some Houdini acts and found ways to escape, found ways to elude the pressure, kept plays alive, and then just threw some crazy rainbows that ended up just falling right in the receiver's hands. And I mean, Kyler Murray was definitely very, very difficult to defend. So I do have to give a lot of credit to Kyler Murray because he kept a lot of plays alive where it looked like he was dead to rights. There were a couple of times where he made Bud Dupree completely over pursue, where it looked like Bud Dupree had clean shots at Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray either did a sidestep or a spin to kind of get off of that and was able to extend the play. I got to give it up to Kyler Murray. He was spectacular. 21 of 32, 289 yards, 4 touchdowns, and only threw an interception where it looked like we were getting back in the game. But the defense tried to hold, and they just broke. And, that air raid offense was exactly what it was. They spread it out. They spread the defense all the way out. And, we play a lot of man. We really didn't play a bunch of zone. And like the one play where he just threw off his back foot, and it was like the perfect catch right into the breadbasket of Christian Kirk. The Titans put the pressure on, but Kyler Murray escaped again and just threw it up, and it just fell right in Christian Kirk's breadbasket. I was there. I saw it. And, I mean, there's my evidence. Love my jersey, though. The jersey looks great. Just hate we couldn't have won. But, I mean, there was a lot of things that went wrong defensively in this game. Now, I will say, one bright spot was Christian Fulton and maybe Kevin Byard. Those two guys did all right. And Christian Fulton, did very well in coverage against A.J. Green. And Janoris Jenkins, which I'm with Austin. Since he played kind of bad yesterday, I'm calling him Janoris and not Jackrabbit because he was slipping all over the place. DeAndre Hopkins made him look like an idiot, which, I mean, let's be honest, DeAndre Hopkins has made a lot of good corners look like idiots. And, it was just a very unimpressive performance by the defense. Again, could not get off the field on third down. And, I mean, it was 52%. And, we went over the Blue Enforcer 4 points to victory. One of them was show improvement and get off the field on third down. They didn't show that. They did not get off the field on third down as Arizona was 7 of 13. That's 52% on third down. That was not good. And, with everything that was going wrong on the other side of the ball, which we will get to, the defense kept them in the game for a minute, but then everything going close to the half was spiraling out of control. So, I mean, this hurt tremendously. Let's see. Jamie says, why do I feel like our team has been exposed? I mean, we have some problems. C-Dub says, good thing I didn't watch the whole game. I would have destroyed my screen. And that's another thing we're going to get to at the end is they had a chance to take advantage of a real opportunity, and they wasted it. They wasted it big time. Let's see. And we're going to definitely talk about that. CW says, man, that Murray is going to be a problem for a lot of defenses, but against a team with the cards and the wide receiver talent like they do, why is there not a safety over top of every play? I mean, because you got to account for Kyler Murray. The fact is, Kyler Murray was moving around so much, you only can expect a corner to stay with a guy for about maybe 4 or 5 seconds at most. But if you're talking about somebody covering a guy for 6 to 8 seconds, eventually the corner loses the matchup. I mean, there's, it was a very, very difficult matchup defensively for the Tennessee Titans. That much I will definitely say. Out the Crib says, I'm devastated. I understand. Philip says, thoughts on defense. Different players, same scheme. Bowen calls the defense of the same philosophy. Same philosophy as what Vrabel likes to do. Typical yes man defense. Hey, I can't disagree with that. The way it looked, I was like, wasn't it supposed to be a little bit different? Looks kind of the same to me. And it did. And make sure y'all hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. And we're going to keep going. So, again, make sure y'all share this show out and everything. And make sure y'all hit that like button and follow all the platforms everywhere for all your Tennessee Titans content. Definitely make sure that you do that. But again, Christian Fulton, I think, was the only bright spot of this offense, along with Kevin Byard, who had a big interception. Fulton made a couple of nice plays. But other than that, wasn't really a lot of good to say about the defense. This was why all of us were so upset that Shane Bowen got the job. And I just think there is going to be a point where he's going to start looking over his shoulder because Jim Schwartz or Jim Haslett could be waiting in the wings. So Shane Bowen better get it together, and I don't know how big of a leash he's going to have. And I was kind of glad I didn't really hear a lot of that, even though that's kind of true, but they got a lot of work to do. They got a lot of cleaning up. Clowney Super Bowl said, Danico Archer might well been Jack Crawford. I didn't really notice Danico. There was a lot of guys I didn't notice. So, there's a lot of problems. So, Philip says, Vrabel gave DC to his buddy Bowen instead of a candidate, Terrell Austin, for the Steelers. How did the Steelers look yesterday? Pretty good to me, but no, we stuck with Bowen. And that is the thing. Vrabel trying to be loyal to his guys to a fault. Isn't that why Mike Mularkey got fired after winning the team a playoff game? Because he refused to adapt and change the offense and get rid of Terry Robisky? He stuck with his guys. He got fired. And if this season goes off the rails, Vrabel might be put in the same situation. So defense looked bad. Kicking game. Special teams. Looks like the kicking carousel continues. Just when we thought we solved the kicking problem. Just when we thought we had hot kicking thicken ready to go, he has some type of groin injury a couple of days before the game. They bring up Michael Bad Kicker Badgley, who not only missed an extra point, missed a 46-yard field goal, and was cut today. So our kicking woes even continued. Let's see. Kid says, Vrabel is hard-headed and doesn't make sound decisions when it comes to getting the right personnel for his team. Agreed. Vrabel has a bit of an arrogance about him. He thinks he knows everything. I've said that many times before. Vrabel thinks he knows everything and that everybody else you, me, media thinks we all know nothing about football. A lot of us watched a lot of football. We know something about the game. So, I mean, again, the kicking situation, hopefully when Ficken comes back after the groin injury, it doesn't hurt his kicking motion. Because he was doing great before this injury, and now he's hurt, and we got to wait a few weeks. Now, Randy Bullock is on the practice squad 9 times out of 10. He'll probably get called up unless they sign somebody else. So we're definitely going to have to see what they do with that. Clowney Super Bowl says Vrabel's defensive scheme is inherently flawed and talent on defense was not the main problem last season. And see, remember, all off season, Vrabel kept saying, well, it's the player's fault, not the coach's fault. And now we saw it wasn't looking like it was the player's fault. Coaches didn't adjust, and we're going to talk about that. But again, special teams. They should have called that roughing the kicker penalty on Brett Kern, and I just thought it was horrific. The refs were horrible. And the kicking game just is like the bad luck kicking bug just won't leave us alone. Plain and simple. Now, let's move on to the offense. And what's up, Zach? we're definitely gonna talk about that. Now we move on to the offense. And this offense was built up all year by a lot of people as it was going to be unstoppable, building on that number 2 offense from last year. You add Julio Jones, Derrick Henry comes back, Lawan comes back healthy, and then you have this pathetic trash-ass performance. I mean, agreed. The defense looked really bad, but that was kind of expected. Excuse me. But there was no way on God's green earth any of us saw the offense looking this horrible on week 1. Now, I think a lot of people have brought it up all throughout the day. First off, practice. The entire offense never practiced together this whole offseason. Every time you turn around, somebody wasn't practicing. Whether it be Lawan, whether it be Ben Jones on COVID, Nate Davis on COVID, Tannehill on COVID, Julio dealing with some type of injury and was out nearly a month. AJ dealing with something or having a maintenance day. And I pray to God those maintenance days just completely go away. I don't give a damn. If you can practice, if you're healthy enough to practice, you should practice every day. There are no days off. You're in the regular season now. There's no such thing as a day off. You practice each and every day to get ready for that next game. So the offense comes out completely flat. Now, I expected the offense to kind of struggle a little, but damn, I did not expect them to struggle like this. I mean, offense looked bad right out the gate. And Todd Downing, for his first game as Tennessee Titans offensive coordinator, I mean, again, I said it. Another Blue Enforcer point. I said, don't get too cute or predictable. And Todd Downing, I call him down ass because he was a dumbass, was just being very predictable, very vanilla, didn't open nothing up, wasn't creative. I mean, didn't try anything different. I mean, I thought, is Terry Robusky offensive coordinator again? Or is the Ghost of Wizard Hunt in this stadium? And I was sitting there at the stadium live looking at this. And I'm just like, and my thought was, first play out of the gate should have been play action to Julio or AJ right out of the gate. Instead, terrible drives to begin the game. And they were so predictable. Derrick Henry to the left, -3 yards. First play in the second drive, Derrick Henry up the middle, 2 yards. Third play, Derrick Henry to the right, -2 yards. I mean, it was so predictable. All of us could have saw what was coming from a mile away. It was horrible. And Mr. Shuggle was right. It was Henry punt. That's what it was. Tyler says Downing was garbage for real. Titans time, what's going on? It was a pleasure to meet you yesterday. And I agree with you on the practice schedule. Plus, they don't play any preseason snaps. Most of the starters sure as hell practice if you have the chance. Yeah. Will says our O-line was suspect throughout the preseason. Yeah. It was a very bad start for Julio, especially when the guy he replaced caught a buck and 2 TDs for the Jets. Yeah. Corey Davis had over 100 yards and 2 TDs for the Jets. And Julio Jones did absolutely nothing yesterday. 3 for 29 and had a dumbass penalty when it could have been 3rd and 1, which we probably would have made. Instead, it ends up being 3rd and 16, and we end up having a punt. John said we don't have a right tackle. And speaking of that, Tannehill looked as bad as I've seen him in 3 seasons. Didn't look comfortable. Didn't look in sync with his receivers. You know, AJ didn't really look great. Julio dropping passes, stupid penalties, dropped a touchdown pass that he normally catches. Derrick Henry not looking like himself. Now, we know historically Derrick Henry does have the tendency to start off slow. But, I mean, terrible. Terrible. And Tyler, let me talk about this. This is why I'm so mad with the offense. He said, first time I bet on the Titans and yesterday happened. Yes, I put some money on the Titans too. And I had a bet. I went through BetMGM. I put a $50 bet in on a parlay that Tannehill scores a touchdown, DeAndre Hopkins scores a touchdown, Derrick Henry scores a touchdown. I was like, that's a for sure bet. I'm like, I cannot lose that bet. Because Tannehill is probably going to toss or run one, which he ran for one and threw for one. Hopkins caught a touchdown. All I needed was Derrick Henry to get across the goal line. That $50 bet could have turned into $500 had Derrick Henry scored. And then on that 4th and 1, they kicked the field goal. Derrick Henry and Mike Vrabel cost me $450. So that's why I'm really mad. Because not only did you lose and embarrass all of us, you cost me money. So I was really ticked off about that. Mr. Struggle says you shouldn't miss an extra point as a kicker. Well, they moved it back. A lot of people are missing kicks now. But you're right. You're right. And CW said biggest down, Lawan and the OC. Yeah. The offensive line looked defeated. It looked completely like they had never practiced a day in their life. Down in the offense pretty much handed the Cards 14 points. Chandler Jones single-handedly wrecked our game plan. Plus the first 4 drives, every first down was a halfback dive. Yeah. I mean, it was predictable, and Chandler Jones, he ate Taylor Lewan and Kendall Lamb alive. And Ken Moore, and I'm going to be on his podcast later, Ken Moore said it himself that Kendall Lamb was going to suck, and he does. We got too predictable on offense, and we didn't adjust. I think Julio pissed a lot of people off. They expected a better performance. Yeah, true. Sometimes betting on the Titans might be hard because you do get emotionally involved. Dennis says, I could barely watch past second. Look, it was very hard for me to stay at that game and watch the whole thing. But I was like, I was trying to stay true to myself. I was trying. William Young, what's up, William? Every time I bet on the Titans, I lose. I never bet on them again. You shouldn't. I probably won't. And you know, the offensive line was just bad. I mean, horrible. All across the board. Chandler Jones completely destroyed our offense all by himself. J.J. Watt didn't have to do a thing. Tyrann Mathieu didn't have to do a thing. Chandler Jones, 5 sacks alone. He basically had 25% of what the Titans did sack-wise last year. Based on what he did to us, he could probably break the sack record. Because, I mean, he's already going to hit 10 sacks. That's easy. Chandler Jones, if he has a sack a game the rest of the way, he'll have 21 sacks if he has a sack every game the rest of the way he played. It was horrible. And Taylor Lewan, he goes on social media saying, you know, I got my ass kicked. Thank you, Chandler Jones, for exposing me. I'm going to get better. And I somewhat can appreciate Taylor Lewan making himself accountable. But, dude, we don't want to hear that. Get your shit together and be the left tackle we all expect you to be. And I know a lot of people are like, well, why didn't they chip and help Lewan out? Now, I could see that in Kendall Lamb's case, you should chip and help him. But Taylor Lewan is your Pro Bowl left tackle. He should not need help going one-on-one with Chandler Jones. He should have been able to whoop Chandler Jones. Instead, he was Chandler Jones' bitch. Excuse my language. He was Chandler Jones' bitch. Chandler Jones owned his ass yesterday. Owned him. And another sack that resulted in a strip fumble was on the other side with Quesenberry. Quesenberry is a practice squad tackle. I don't know why in the world is he starting over Sam Brilo. And that's indicative of Dylan Radunz not being up to snub. When, I mean, it was just bad. It was just bad. The offensive line really let me down and let all of us down. Todd Downing being predictable. I'm like, shades of Ken Wisenhunt. It was pathetic. A pathetic, disgraceful performance by this Tennessee Titan team. All the way around. Chandra, my homegirl, what's up? Said no days off. I agree. They don't deserve any days off. Talking about, well, we'll come back on Wednesday. They need to be practicing tomorrow. And Vrabel was pretty honest. He was like, we got our coach. Yeah, and that's the thing that we get to now. Coaching. got thoroughly outcoached in every possible way. Because I said this. Sometimes, and William says, acting like paper champions. Yep. Offense demolished in front of our eyes. Can't get right. And you know what? Hey, does J-Rob deserve blame too? Yes. Yes. Downing is going to be a problem just like when he was in Oakland. Again, coaching was pathetic too. Vrabel, Downing, and Bowen never made adjustments. And I said this on the show with the ladies. And Stephanie even, Miss Stephanie from the Ladies of Titans Twitter even said it. She was like, and I said, you got to make adjustments week to week, half to half. And she even went further. She was like, hey, series to series. And that's true because the other side is going to adjust to you. And you have to, you have to adjust. They're going to make adjustments to you. You got to continue to make adjustments to them. So sometimes you got to adjust to their adjustment. And we didn't do that. We didn't do that at all. Todd Downing was acting like Robisky. We're like, we'll just roll the same thing out there, expected it to work. And it didn't. It failed miserably. And they didn't really open up the playbook until they were too far behind. When they were down 17-0, then they tried to open up the playbook, which led to Henry having a little success. But you can't be predictable like that. Yep, couldn't talk to anyone yesterday. I agree. I couldn't have done that either. Josh said the Packers, look after them. Yeah, I saw that. I saw they got embarrassed. I saw the Packers got embarrassed. And yes, C-Dub, it was a train wreck. It was a train wreck. Just like that game. 11 sacks. Tannehill, I said looked as bad as he did in 3 years. And it wasn't really all on him. Because, the O-line gave him no help. And Derek says, if this is a sign of things to come, we might not make it out of the AFC South. And on Stillman and Company, I called in. And Jerry asked me a very good question. He asked me, he said, do you think this is what's going to happen all season? Or do you think this was just of what happened today, of what happened in this game? And I said, because I know a lot of people would normally say, hey, it's just one game. But that's all. This one game was all we have to go off of. That's all we got to talk about. Because that's the only game that matters that has been played. And so I said, honestly, I think this was just from today's game. I don't think Lawan's going to suck like this all season. I don't think the offense is going to continue to sputter all the way through the season. I think some things will get better as time goes on. But I also did say that if this continues after a few weeks, after about the first quarter of the season, and this continues, then, oh yeah, it might be red alert. Right now, I'm going to say it's yellow alert. It's yellow alert. It's like, the spider sense is starting to tingle a little bit. It's not on full blaze red alert yet. But we better find a way to get our act together before Seattle. Because Seattle thoroughly took care of Indianapolis yesterday. in Indianapolis. And now we have to go play another similar quarterback in Russell Wilson. The only thing is, yes, Kyler Murray is a little bit more athletic, but Russell Wilson is way better than Kyler Murray. Extremely better. And that defense was making life extremely miserable for Carson Wentz. They're probably licking their chops to play us now. So, we got our work cut out for us. We could be staring 0-2 directly in the face, and it doesn't look good. However, they just got to prepare. They got to be ready to play, and they got to understand the season has started now. CW said, Lawan should shut up already on social media. Prove it on the field. Who did he think he was facing yesterday? Agreed. And Zach says, 450, good Lord, I don't blame you. I agree. Like I said, I put $50 on the Titans for those 3 props. 2 of them came through. All I needed was 1. And I thought a Derrick Henry touchdown was probably the surest thing. And it failed me. And I know a lot of y'all are already ready to jump off the cliff. Here's how I'm going to, as upset as I am, I'm not going to jump off a cliff. They could right the ship in Seattle, although it's going to be extremely difficult because you're going up against, as somebody called it, Danger Russ, because he is dangerous. You got Lockett and DK Metcalf. And it looks like an improving defense in Seattle, not to mention you're going to be in probably the loudest stadium in all of sports. Coming off of a win and the first time in 2 years that fans can go to a game, oh, Seattle's going to be extra pumped for this game. We got to be able to take the wind out of their sails early if we're going to have any kind of a chance. But I know a lot of y'all are unhappy over this game. And I mean, yes, everybody else lost except for Houston. So these NFC games probably doesn't matter. But it's going to hurt. Is that X? You're right. We can't rely on Henry all the time. And the thing about it was, I thought you would open it up by starting to kind of go to your prolific weapons on the outside, except Todd Dowdy doesn't use them. I'm like, what the hell did you trade for Julio Jones for if you're not going to try to throw him the ball? Although Julio dropped a couple of passes that he should have caught. One result that could have been a touchdown. The other resulted in a tipped interception. And I know all of y'all are ready to fire Shane Bowen already. I'm not ready to do that just yet, but I think the leash might be a little short. So, I mean, it's, you know, it's discouraging. I can see that. Because, and that's another thing. The announced attendance, even though it could give or take, they said it was about 67,000. Excuse me. I don't know if it was 67,000, but I would definitely say it was probably around 60,000. It was a lot of fans there. The lower bowl was packed. The upper seats had a pretty good amount too. And it wasn't a lot of red. It was a little bit. It was about maybe 5,000 that might have been red with Cardinal fans. But it was mostly us. And you had probably your most filled up Nissan Stadium you've had in about 3 or 4 years. Excited. High expectations. Thinking that this offense was going to come out and show us something special. and you give this performance. You're trying to gain new fans. I felt bad for a couple of fans I was riding back on the shuttle with to my car, and they had some nice buttons that says, my first Titans game. And I talked to them, I told them, I said, I am so sorry you had to witness this performance for your first game. I had to say that to them. I was so sorry they had to see that. And TNT said, who you take? Quarterback coach Pep Hamilton that molded Justin Herbert into a star last year, or Downing, who failed at OC for the Raiders. Y'all remember back in the spring and the summer, I thought Pep Hamilton could have been a good candidate for offensive coordinator. I thought they should have went with him, and instead they go with Downing. I was like, who? And then when I heard the stuff about the Raiders, I was like, oh no. I wasn't really, expecting great from Todd Downing, and this happened. So, I mean, Devin K said, get off the bus and do some drills. Yeah, I agree. Busting with the boys don't need to be happening right now. And I don't think Taylor Lewan does busting with the boys during the season. I don't think. And so, yeah, I see a lot of comments. I'm going to try to get some of y'all comments before we get out of here, because I know a lot of y'all have a lot to say. So this is about y'all. The whole O-line thing wasn't working. Lewan will bounce back. I hope so. John said, I remember Taylor Lewan who could neutralize the Watts. I remember the Taylor Lewan that could neutralize the Watts. So do I. Terrible second round pick. No one says Dylan Rayduns. Couldn't even be active. He should be getting more of a look now. Courtney says, I think Taylor is done. That injury to his knees took away his mobility. That could have something to do with it. And remember, after this year, if the Titans won, they could cut Taylor Lewan and save a lot of money and not have a lot of dead cap. So that could be in the cards as well. So some changes could be on the way. Let's see, Josh says, this was 10 times worse than the Bengals game last year. True. You think we're going to spend that money from Julio's contract? I don't know. Jones took Lewan's chain like Debo did Red. It's my chain now. And again, I said it. Like when Taylor Lewan went up to Derrick Henry after Derrick Henry stiff-armed Josh Norman into the upper stratosphere, and he was like, oh man, that poor guy. That's what I was saying about Taylor Lewan. Chandler Jones embarrassed him and, put him in the dirt. And I'm like, Taylor Lewan, that poor guy got humiliated. George Stokes comes and says they need all the practice they could get. True. Steve says our third string players played better in the preseason. Yeah. Got out coached by Kingsbury. Yep. No more cliche answers from Vrabel's postgame. True. I'm nervous about the Seahawks. DK is going to torch Jackrabbit. I don't know how they're going to do this. I don't know. If they don't feel embarrassed and want to fight back, we're done. They got to fight back. They don't have a choice. They better get it together. I know a lot of y'all are feeling down right now. I understand. And Josh, you're right. J-Rob does deserve some blame. He is not getting anything out of these last two draft classes. Christian Fulton is right now the only bright spot. Right now. Caleb Farley did get in a little, but it was too little too late. Elijah Molden had his welcome to the NFL moment, got torched by Christian Kirk, which, he didn't have no safety help. and Christian Kirk was just fast. So I think he had his welcome to the NFL moment. I think Molden will be better. He's a rookie. I think he's going to be okay. Um, you know, I don't know if Des Fitzpatrick would have done any better out there. Don't know. But you're surely not getting none out of Dylan Radunz. They had Rashad Weaver inactive. I would probably bet that he's going to be active this upcoming week. Klein says Jefferson is not near as good as fans like to think he is. Now I know obviously Clowney's Super Bowl is probably trolling right now. Jeffrey Simmons was doing fine. He got a sack, and Autry didn't really do much of anything. Tart didn't really do much of anything. Dupree didn't really do much of anything, over pursued. Landry had a sack. I didn't even notice it. I will tell you where this team has the attitude. Kevin Byard gets a pick, and what do? They go to the end zone and celebrate, all while getting their butts kicked. True, but Kevin Byard, that interception, he was thinking, okay, I'm trying to bring some, that might bring some life into this team and into this stadium. I understand that. They're like, look, trying to get it hyped like, hey, we got something. Let's build on it. Now, they did score a touchdown off of that turnover, and it got to 24-13, and you're thinking that the defense could make a stop, that, we could make this game a bit interesting. Instead, Arizona drove right back down the field and scored again. I plan on being at the Colts game, Tyler. Tyrod said, I flew all the way from South Florida to watch that. I understand. I drove all the way from Memphis for that. There says, our playbook is too stiff. Maybe new GM with some fresh young faces may push in the right direction. Now, I know everybody now wants to fire everybody. Fire Todd Downing. Fire Shane Bowen. Fire John Robinson. All of y'all have to remember, John Robinson helped lead us out of the depths of hell. Now, yes, his last couple of draft classes not looking so good. Now, remember, this year's draft class, you really can't judge him yet. Now, last year's draft class, yeah. Christian Fulton looks like the only contributor. Darrington Evans can't seem to stay healthy. Ryan Tannehill was our 4th-round pick. Laurel Murchison, I saw him going to the game, didn't really notice him. Fat Ass Panda is somewhere probably out broke, homeless on the streets. So, and got to use the receiver next game. Should have used him this game. Like I said, I would have started out passing. And it seems like Vrabel and the Titan coaches are thinking, you know what, we got to stick to the same philosophy. I understand Derrick Henry is what brought us to the dance. I've been screaming for years to use the pass to set up the run. But they always seem like, we got to run the ball. We got to establish the run always first. Do you not think that every other team in the league doesn't know that? They know we're going to try to establish the run. So, of course, they're going to try to stop the run first. Tyrod said, I don't even want to play Madden. It takes me about 3 days to get over it. It usually takes about a day or two. I understand. King Eye says, O-line can't even block rocks. Yeah. BLGV 901. What's up, homie? What's up with you? I mean, true. Wasn't like in the formations. Down ass was calling. Spread the receivers out, get vertical. I agree. We looked predictable. It was predictable. And Josh is right. Lockett and Metcalf ain't going to make it any easier. You're going to have to clean up. Clean it up. And Austin of A to Z Sports said this on his post game. Cutting Dennis Kelly was probably one of the stupidest moves J-Rob has made. I bet you're missing the hell out of Dennis Kelly now. That was a dumbass move. And it was a bad matchup. John said, if we start 0-4, some firings are coming. I agree. We cannot start off 0-4. Because if it gets to that point, panic button will be pushed. And yeah, it's like in the replacements with Gene Hackman playing Coach McGinty. He was like, what do this team need to get back in it? He like, heart. Miles and miles of heart. That's what the Titans need to turn it to get this season right. Heart. Because right now they didn't show none of that yesterday. And you can't run play action when your O-line is that bad. The O-line stunk the worst. And you blew a golden opportunity in front of a near sellout crowd to just add to the excitement that we had for this performance. Now, I hear a lot of down Titan fans. I hear a lot of fans like, this season is lost. I see a lot of y'all talking about, oh, well, we're going to lose to Seattle. You know, I see a lot of y'all ready to jump off the ledge already. And I mean, look, I understand. I understand that a lot of people are ready to jump off the ledge. But don't jump yet. Don't give up. And I have not seen the clip of Derrick Henry lighting it into the rest of the offense. If y'all got it, send it to me. I want to see it. Played bird teams 3 times in a row and lost them all. Yep. I mean, for the second straight time, dating back to last year, we played the Ravens and the Cards, and the offense completely let everybody down. And yes, should have went for it on 4th and 1 instead of punting the ball. Or going for it, having a chance to score, and your kicker misses the damn kick. I mean, nothing went right for the offense. Tyrod said, if we beat Seattle, all is well. I won't necessarily say all is well, but I think things will be a lot better if we can pull that off. Clowney is not better than Dupree. I mean, Clowney did some stuff. The only thing Clowney did yesterday was making so that we might get a fifth round compensatory pick for him. Thank you, Clowney, for that at least. You know, the Cards came to play. We didn't. Classy Ross said, I've been a fan since they were the Oilers. I don't get hyped up anymore before the preseason. I just sit back and watch what happens. I understand. And I know a lot of us are not going to waver, but good to finally meet you as well. And a win would have made it a whole lot better. Absolutely. So, you know, I agree. It was a pleasure meeting you. And hopefully maybe I'll see you at the Titans fan club at Indigo this week. I will be there. I know a lot of y'all are ready to give it up, but we can't get up. We can't give up. This is a bad performance. And Vrabel called out Julio on that dumbass penalty. And I don't blame him. I would have too. Clowney says better value to Dupree. Clowney sucked last year. He tried but sucked. So we saw about 8 games of that. Dupree's only played 1 game with us. So chill on that noise. Chill on that noise, Mr. Troll. So I'm about to get ready to get out of here. Again, the Titans fall 38-13. Yes, it was an embarrassing loss, but we got to pick ourselves up. We'll come back on Wednesday, get ready to preview the game against the Seahawks, and get ready to head northwest. Again, if y'all want some Titans of Truth swag, like the Titans of Truth shirt I have on, make sure y'all check with my girl, Miss Latoya Akinyemi. You can check her on Facebook, also on Instagram at Queen Butterfly Tees, or her email address, queenbutterflytees@gmail.com. Also, if you can't get to her, you can email me as well at canewell817@gmail.com if you want some Titans of Truth swag. So, look, I got to have some fun a little bit. So, I just appreciate you being in here. I appreciate all of y'all. But, you know, Dupree wasn't great. He over pursued a few times. And we got to get it together. And so, at the end of the day, we have to tighten up because that's all we know how to do. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Help me get to 2,000. Make sure y'all follow on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and on YouTube. And I'm about to get out of here and call it a night. I will be on Ken Moore's show in just a little while at K Moore Sports. Check him out, K Moore Sports on YouTube. I'm going to be on there. So come tune in. Help me get to 2,000. Subscribe to the show. Good night, y'all. Tighten up.